Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk you through my world conquest as Democratic Athens in Imperator Rome, which I still hold to be one of the better Paradox games, so I recommend everyone give it a try. I originally played this through on Iron Man mode for the final achievements as Athens and as a Greek Democratic Republic, but I kept many of the intermediate saves, so I'll try and take you through them. Now, I don't particularly metagame, I don't play with any exploits or anything like that. I just take it nice and easy, but I will give you some tips about what I've done and how I played this out. I've just started a fresh game here just to show you some of the first steps you might want to take. So the most important thing to start off with is to begin the Athens in Chains mission, and we're going to want to get down to the final vote here, where we vote to break free from our Antigonid overlords. And for that, we're going to most importantly need 60 approval in the Senate. So this is why you might want to restart a few times, because what you're going to want in the ideal case is something like here, where you have just one of the factions be very strong, in this case the oligarchs. So that means that we can boost the opinion of the oligarchs to get overall higher approval in the Senate at the cost of some of the other factions which are less popular. So for example, the traditionalists, if we boost oligarchs and annoy the traditionalists, that'll still give us overall increase in our oligarch approval. So I'm going to put on some imports first. We're going to want, I usually try and go for lots of dyes, precious metals and fish, so that the different interest groups get happy. In this case we can only get one dye, so I'm going to get that, and I'm also going to get one fish just for the Freeman happiness to start off with. We're going to want to change around some of these deities. Usually I would go for which one? Yeah, for Helios in culture and Apollo in war. But we'll invoke Athena here to start off with, and we'll sort those out later. As for the ideas, you don't actually want to waste the political power to start off with and fill in all these idea slots, or get this bonus. It's not particularly useful, so we're going to go for the two commercial ones that boost our income by a lot, which we're going to need. And so first we're going to also send some insults to the Antigonid kingdom, which we're going to need to in order to lower our opinion of them. So we'll start on our mission here, and while that plays out, we're going to lower the Antigonid opinion of us and also gain the approval. So I'll show you how we can do that. So for example, we can take this oligarch character, give him free hands. That'll improve the approval from the oligarchs, and now we're at 52.64. We'll give this guy free hands, now at 55 and a bit. This Democrat, we can give him free hands as well. This oligarch as well, and another one, and now we're over 60% approval. So let's play it out here. I'm going to play it at 5 speed, and I'm also going to send another insult to the Antigonids when I can. So we're going to do spiting the Antigonid kingdom, taking charge. We just need a tiny amount more approval, which hopefully we can get. There we go, 60.45. The final vote, yep. And we'll finish the mission. So now we have broken free of the Antigonids before they get into a bunch of annoying wars. We've also had to banish some characters, but that's fine. Our first objective is going to be to take the entire island of Crete and integrate the Cretan culture, which is a good first step for any of the Greek miners. And so we're going to start fabricating claims on them. And what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and fabricate claims so that we can declare war on two states at once. So, for example, Praesos here has an alliance with Knossos. So if we fabricate on Praesos, then we'll be able to fight Knossos at the same time. The other thing we're going to want, and you might have to restart for this, is to get an alliance with Cyrenaica, who's going to do a lot of our fighting for us to start off with. We'll probably also build a couple of ships to start off with, just the light ships, 2 of them, just so we can land on Crete. So, as I mentioned, we'll send off some claim fabrication and try and invade Crete as soon as we can. Now, the other thing is, as playing as Athens, you're going to have a lot of elections. You're going to swap your archons quite often, your leaders. Now, what you're going to want to remember to do is to have your leader on either influence, ideally. So, influence stakeholders. This will increase your political influence gain by 20%. That's if you have a high enough popularity. If you don't have a popularity, you'll want to sponsor games, which will raise the popularity, and then when it's high enough, you can influence stakeholders again. So we'll use that to get the political influence and then begin fabricating claims and declare on Crete. So now we're ready to declare war. We have a casus belli, and most importantly, we're going to call in Cyrenaica and get them to do most of the fighting. We're going to declare war, for example, on Praesos here, and they're going to call in their allies, and we're going to call in Cyrenaica. Slowly but surely, we're going to take these Cretan city-states one by one. So finally, the Cyrenaicans are in the battle. They're sieging down some of our enemy provinces. Praesos here. Now, the conquest of Crete can be quite tedious and annoying, and it's okay because it's still early in the game to occasionally restart. This is the most annoying part of the entire run. But here I am in 462 with all of Crete under my control and with the Cretan culture integrated up to the citizen level, which means that when I try and raise my levies from Greece now, I have a whole 21 cohorts in the levies and a much larger tax base, which is enough now to hire permanently 1 mercenary stack. So with the levies and a mercenary stack, we can afford to go after some larger opponents now, the Macedonians and the Antigonids. The next goal here will be Sparta and parts of Macedon. We'll have a war against both of them. And we're going to continue, but first I'm going to show you a bit of the research strategy. So the first invention we're going to go for here is open religion, which unlocks the Great Temples. And after that, we'll go for we'll go down the oratory tree, basically. If I remember correctly, yeah, we get to gradual economic integration, which gives the Grand Theatre, which is also important. And after that, we'll continue down and go to winning land by the spear. So you should, by about the year 500, have enough innovations to unlock this very key tech, which we're going to make a lot of use of later. Just to show you another trick, of course, you get one of these innovations for every time you finish one of these techs, but you can also get innovations. So if I try and swap out this researcher, when you go to the assign researcher panel, you'll see sometimes icons here on the researchers. And what that means is if you assign that researcher, there's a probability that they will spontaneously create an innovation in addition to the ordinary innovation. So it would actually probably be better here to put in this chap. And then, of course, we still have to keep our great families in check, but that should be a lot better. Now I've skipped ahead a little bit here to where I've taken over Sparta and some land from some of the Diadochi, and I'm going to show you how to fight a larger opponent, in this case the Antigonid Kingdom. So I've already parked some mercenaries next to Ionia, which I'm going to declare war on in a moment, and start capturing the fortress with these mercenaries. And I'm going to take my levy from Greece in a moment. We're going to load it up on ships and preemptively sail it off the Antigonid coast. And as soon as our war casus belli comes through, we're going to send in a war declaration, which we have now. So we're going to declare on Ionia. We're going to call in our allies, of course. So the mercenaries are going to walk in to the fortress, and we're going to land our home levy here in one of the cities. And in fact, we're also going to go and hire a stack of mercenaries here from... we're going to take these ones with 14 martial and a whole 13k troops. This is actually going to give us a deficit here in a moment, you'll see. But here's the thing. You see, when we have our home stack from our capital province, we have our leader leading that stack, and whenever he sieges down cities, we get this sacking event where we can choose how much to loot the target city. So we could, the amount of looting and the amount of money you get from the looting is in proportion to how many local pops you kill. Now, I generally go with some of the lower ones just for sort of RP reasons, and also for pragmatic reasons that if you're going to eventually capture this territory, you don't want to depopulate it, but you might want to take the more extreme options here. I'll just go for the gentle looting. And so the idea would be to siege down many of these cities with our capital city levies, and this way we're going to get a lot of money. And so our deficit from running these mercenaries, we see we've got a deficit, we're actually going to overcome that. So we're going to loot again. Now, you know, we're not capturing the capital of the province. That's okay, because we're just capturing a bunch of cities to loot. And also these mercenaries are no longer exiled. They're going to start regaining their organization here. And now we're going to spread out and go looting. We're still, of course, capturing this fortress over here with our other mercenary stack. And we're going to start capturing parts of the Antagonids while they're busy involved in another war sieging down other fortresses, we're going to get our mercenaries in play. And we're going to primarily, whenever we need to actually take a fight, we're going to fight with the mercenaries, because when they lose their soldiers, that we don't actually need to use our own manpower to replenish them. They automatically get replenished. They just need to be paid, which is fine by us. So that's what we're going to do. And as you can see, we're quite rapidly now sieging down the Antigonids. Our war goal is here. We're certainly going to capture this. If we need to, we can force an assault. So that will take heavy losses if we force the assault. We're not sort of desperate for it, but if we were running low on food, we could. If there's a breach here, if there's one on this counter, then that's a lot better an idea to try and assault. In that case, we're going to try and take this fight against the Antigonids when they are they're going to have debuffs in a siege here. Oh, there you go. We've won that siege. So it's all going quite well. We're actually getting sieged ourselves in our cap. So we're going to hopefully bring back our mercenaries in time for that. And in the meantime, we'll try and defend this big stack. We easily beat that. We're going to have our war score ticking up. Now, trade protection policy, yeah, why not? Unfortunately, we did lose our capital siege, but we'll get that back. That's okay. So this is kind of how you fight the Diadochi and so on. For the sake of getting the achievement, we might also want to release some of their subjects, or we might just take a lot of land. So we can take Ionia. We could also already here start taking much of their land in Greece if we really wanted to. So that's how we play it out, and we actually come out with more money than we did originally. I could have played it a bit better here and stopped them sieging me down there. But so what? Now I'm jumping forward a little bit here to a save. I'm not actually going to play it out, but I'm just going to use this to show you another strategy you can use to kind of expand very quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this little city-state of Dyme. And we can see that they have a low opinion of us because we've got quite a large amount of aggressive expansion from taking all that land. But what we're going to do is we're going to offer them an alliance, which they're going to take. And as soon as we offer them an alliance, that malice from aggressive expansion has dropped by a lot, and so their opinion of us is now much higher. So I'm going to play it forward on high speed here. Wait for us to be able to conduct diplomacy again, and we're going to start improving their opinion. So we'll wait for the opinion to tick up to 75. We're going to send them a gift for another 25, so it takes it up to 100. And now you can see that they would be willing to become our feudatory. We're going to wait until we can send that, and we send that, and we offer them a feudatory. So they become one of our subjects. They'll join us in wars. Now, as a feudatory, they don't actually take up a subject slot. So we can take as many of these feudatories in exactly the same way as we like. So offer an alliance. They will... their opinion of us will then improve. We do further improve opinions, and then eventually offer a feudatory. Jumping forward just a little while to 490, after I've been expanding a little bit, but more importantly, I've been doing this diplomatic trick, and now I have a whole swarm of feudatories. So if I put on the diplomacy map mode, you see that all of these tiny little city-states, many of them would be a complete pain to siege down in a war, have now become my feudatory purely diplomatically. And when I wish to, I can then after 10 years have passed, and assuming that the opinion of us is high, but it should be high because we can improve opinion, then we'll be able to integrate them peacefully at our leisure. But for now, we have this huge swarm of feudatories that will join us in wars, which is obviously very advantageous. You can see that once again. And in fact, as time goes on, we can offer that to any other Greek state or even Hellenistic state. So we might be able to offer this to Emporion over here and various other states in Asia Minor and so on, all completely diplomatically. Jumping forward a little bit, by 493, this is what our holdings look like. We've been declaring wars on the Diadochi, taking them. We've puppeted Macedon here, or made them a client state, partially for the achievement, partially just to have another sort of ally in our big feudatory stack. We took Cyprus, which was an Egyptian sort of client, but we were able to isolate it and defeat it. And now, at this stage, we are going to go and fight Rome. It's kind of important to get the jump and to attack Rome early, because they actually count as an antagonist nation, which means they get a lot of bonuses, and they're going to become really out of control if we let them go on much longer. So we're going to start beating up on them. We've made an alliance with Etruria, which has uncharacteristically survived this long. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But nonetheless, whether or not Rome has managed to gobble up Etruria, this is the time to go to war. So we're going to gather up all our stacks. We were just helping out the Etrurians here in to defeat some rebels, but we're going to gather up as many stacks, as many mercenaries as we can, and we're going to go for Rome, especially while they are distracted with a war of their own up here. Now there's another little trick that you can do. So I've got a mercenary stack which I was using earlier, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to disband them and get a new one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to park them here on Crete, which means that they can't go anywhere, and I have them ready to hire whenever I wish. I've got other stacks here dropped off, also ready to hire. I'm going to dismiss this one. They'll recover their manpower and so on. In the meantime, I'm going to hire this one, and if I'm below, yeah, I'm going to hire another one. So I'm going to get all these mercenaries ready and all my levies, and I'm going to go and attack Rome. So here we go. I'm going to declare war on Rome, call in as many allies as I can, and I'm going to use my my levy from my capital to siege down cities to get money. I'm going to unload my mercenaries to start capturing some of the forts, and I'm going to bring in more mercenaries as possible. I'm able to now call Etruria into the war as well, which is going to help us. They're going to help me fight here in the north. I'm going to go up and down the main boot of Italy, and especially conquer any of the undefended provinces without a fort at their capital. We're going to try and get all of our stacks here to fight their rather smaller stack. Try and chase them down. We're easily able to take a battle here because we outnumber them so much. We are going to go siege down Rome, and in the meantime also loot some of their cities. We might put a smaller stack on conquering one of these fortresses. In the meantime, our mercenaries over here have finished this siege, and because we have way more ships, we'll also be able to contest their fleet. Overall, we do have a positive war score. It's actually should actually tick up as well, and we'll hopefully be able to beat some of their stacks here as well. We'll bring our ships up to help us with mobility. And in fact, what I might do here is I'm going to move off the larger mercenary stack, and I'm actually going to assault the Roman fort here. We've taken Rome. That's nice. We're going to get these mercenaries in as well. And this should be good enough to contest some of their boats. Another good thing is that all our feudatories are fighting over on this front as well, which is quite handy. They're taking quite a lot of Rome. So Egypt declared war on us here, but we've finally taken Epirus, so we'll be able to peace out Rome here and go to war with Egypt as well. And we should be able to take quite a lot of land off them, including Rome. And as soon as we do that, we're also going to begin integrating the Roman culture for big bonuses. Because it's quite a large culture, it will also let us get some good traditions and that sort of thing. I'm skipping ahead a little bit here to the year 510. I've had another war with Rome, and I've consolidated my hold over the Italian peninsula, and I've also made feudatories of Syracuse and Tyndaria. And as you can see, Tyndaria is much larger than it normally looks. It's usually just a city-state, but that's for reasons which I'll explain in a little bit. But now it is going to be time to go to war with Egypt, and I'm going to use my inventions to finally get the winning land by the spear invention, and that's going to unlock a new type of war, which I'll show off to you in just a moment. We can now hire a bunch of mercenaries and mobilize all the forces we can, because it's going to be a very major war. Now, Egypt does have a little bit of an exclave here in Asia Minor, but because they have quite a weak fleet, we're going to be able to destroy this fleet and cut them off from this. We're going to take this exclave first, and then we're going to land in their main territory in Egypt itself and take over basically all of them. So I'm now ready to declare war on Egypt. I'm actually going to declare it just as their fleet is passing our one. I'm going to declare war on them with the special Imperial Challenge Casus Belli, and I'll show off what that does in just a moment. We're going to immediately start sieging one of their provinces, and I'm going to send my armies here to start capturing this territory. And as you'll see, this means that this war goal means that we'll be able to take over this territory immediately. We're going to leave Cappadocia and Armenia to siege down this part of Egypt, and we're going to go for Africa now. So we're going to land over here and split the Egyptian forces into pieces. And we're going to use our navy to help maneuver us around. Here we're able to catch one of their stacks and defeat it quite easily with far superior numbers. Our aim here, once we get our main armies into play, is to have our really strong stacks of mercenaries and our legions and so on be leading in front and fighting the main Egyptian armies, while our small stacks of these small 2k of our levies, some of the levies from our smaller regions, to capture all the territory behind them. So here the Egyptians are going to start bringing up their main armies, and we're going to hopefully defeat them here. Which we easily do with our superior numbers. And backcapping with our small forces in the meantime. I've let some time pass since I conquered Egypt with the Imperial War Goal, and I've allowed the aggressive expansion to tick down. I've allowed the stability to rise once again. I've gathered some money, which I have used to invest in some wonders. So now let's look at the Great Wonder strategy. So first of all, this is not really a metagaming thing, but it's just an optimization issue. The best way to build wonders, if I go to one of my capital territories, what you want to do is you want to have a tower here, a tower type wonder, and you want to have gold on the top and stone on the other two structures in the middle and the base. Someone posted this on the forums. This is kind of the ideal way to go, because this very quickly builds you up a tier 2 Great Wonder. And so you'll need to import gold and stone, which in your capital region, or your capital sort of province, you should be doing anyway, because stone helps you to have cheaper buildings, and precious metals, the gold, gives you citizen happiness, which is also really key. So you should be importing those anyway, and so you should be building, once again, a Great Wonder with a gold top and stone middle and base. And I've already built 2 of these towers during this rest period, waiting for aggressive expansion to die down. So the first one I always build in the capital, and I go with the taxes and commerce, because that gives extra import routes obviously capital import routes, very important. I also go for the expanding culture, which gives us conversion and assimilation. And finally, the government traditions, which gives 3 really good bonuses. Actually, the provincial loyalty, really key, but also corruption, for negative corruption for all characters. That's great. Loyalty of governors, also very useful. Now, of course, these you begin at tier 2 and they will increase, and eventually, quite quickly, we'll actually get to tier 4. The second wonder I build also usually in the capital region, and I go for all the honored, basically honored the 3 main social classes, not including slaves, for mostly for extra happiness. So you can see I'm stacking a lot of happiness here, and production and so on, output. Then there'll be a third wonder again in the capital region, and for there I would probably put something like maybe a military related one, or something like that. But really, these 2 are the main key ones. This set of 3, then all the social groups, not tribesmen, because they're very minor. Of course, you should usually be beelining for Asia Minor, which has some of these wonders already. So this one with a tier 4 stability change, very nice, and all the rest, of course. Now, a couple of ways you can cheese wonder production. So when you build a wonder, you get 5 stability right when it's built. So what you can do if you want to cheese it is you can build a bunch of just stone towers with just a useless effect, and you're basically building a bunch of them in series, and as soon as one pops you get 5 stability. Maybe in a year after that another one pops, another 5 stability, and as soon as they're built you just delete them. And another kind of cheese way is that, so as I mentioned, let's take this tax and commerce. It's at level 2 now because the wonder's at level 2. When it gets to level 3 after some time, automatically, we'll be able to upgrade this to a level 3. But the game mechanics intention is to only ever have 1 tax and commerce in your entire nation. But you can sort of cheat and have a tax and commerce 4, 3, 2, and a 1 all in your nation. You sort of have to play around and manipulate and give away territories to your feudatories and that sort of thing. It can be done, but again, that's a little bit cheesy, so I'm not going to do that here. So with that out the way, we've got our main 2 wonders, and we are ready to go for Kush. Again, an imperial war goal. We're going to declare war on them with imperial challenge. And we're going to, once again, this is a much more straightforward invasion than Egypt, because there are basically only 2 lines of attack: the Nile and along the coast of the Red Sea. We have an overwhelmingly powerful fleet here along the Red Sea, so that should be very straightforward. And we're just going to go and conquer. Once again, we're going to have these big armies move in front, and we're going to mobilize our small little 2 stacks behind them to just help capture some of the territories to speed that up. The only other thing here is that we have, as you can see, Kush borders Yamnat, and Yamnat is actually outside of our diplomatic range. So what we want to do is, as quite a high priority, we want to take some land that's right adjacent to Yamnat, like say this province here. And even though they are too far for diplomatic range, if we have a bordering province, we'll be able to then do diplomacy with them. We'll be able to fabricate a claim. So we want to kind of land here quite quickly, get diplomatic relations, fabricate a claim on them. And while we're mopping up Kush, we also probably want to just take Yamnat quickly here while we're down here, just to not waste time. Having taken the rest of Nubia, I then went after Rome, and used an Imperial War Gold to take some of this rather border gore-ish territory, which opens up a couple of possibilities or a couple of points that I should raise. So first of all, we have a lot of uncolonized terrain here, and we do have Rome as an integrated culture, so we can use their pops to colonize this. This is a very tedious process in Imperator. It first involves finding people of your religion, usually slaves of your religion, and an integrated culture. So here in the Roman lands that I've just taken, I'm going to do the tedious task of finding 7 or so Roman Hellenic slaves and bringing them all into one single province. So you require having your culture dominant and your religion dominant. So that's why having Hellenic Roman is good. They're integrated. They're our religion. And you need at least one free person, so a freeman or a citizen. So we have a freeman here. We've moved enough slaves to make Roman the dominant culture. You also have 7 or more total pops, which we do now. So I'm going to use this to colonize the adjacent territory here. And I'm going to repeat the process over again. So move pops here and colonize the next territory and so on. And I'm going to basically follow a Eulerian, I believe, path, a path where you go through a bunch of nodes in turn, filling the space. This is really, it could be thought of as a graph. And we're going to fill this in with our colonization. At least that would be the optimal play here. So I'll just show that a few more times. It helps to have vegetables in your capital to reduce the cost. It will cost probably a few hundred denarii here to colonize this with all the movement of the slaves. Overall, it's a good play, but as I say, quite tedious in terms of micromanagement. The other thing that I want to show off to you here is a couple of maneuvers. So what we have here is we have several nations here, and they have formed a defensive pact. So these 4 here have a defensive pact, and we have a casus belli here on Pieria, which means we can declare on them, and we'll declare war then automatically on all the rest of them, which is good. We've already got our troops and mercenaries and so on all around this defensive block, but I'm going to show you just a little extra strategy. So we're going to declare on Pieria here. In fact, just because I've loaded this, temporarily none of our allies, none of our feudatories will join, so I'll take a few ticks here. And I'll declare war. We'll get a few of the feudatories, that doesn't really matter. But what I'm going to show off is, so we're going to go for all of their fortresses straight away. So this stack is going to go for this fortress, this one here. We have a stack ready to go for this one, a stack ready to go for this one. This is actually not quite ideally placed, but just to show this off to you. And so we're going to go for all their fortresses. Now, if I had... later on, I'd get the invention for forced march, which would really what you want to do. You want to force march to their fortresses and occupy them as soon as possible. But I'm going to let this play out, and we're going to occupy them. I'm going to get all our troops into position here and start assaults. We're going to just assault directly. They are below their nominal garrisons because we've only just declared war, so it should be a bunch of quite easy assaults to take. Now I'm going to focus in particular on this nation, Dalmatia. You remember we did not have a casus belli on them. We are fighting Pieria here as the primary combatant. So if we go to just sue for peace already, we would be dealing with all of them simultaneously. But what we can do is we can press Dalmatia to going to superficie, we can press Dalmatia and deal with them on their own. Now, if I show you, say, Detonia, which we haven't yet occupied, it will tell us that, firstly, we need war score against them, but secondly, even if we did have war score, it would tell us that they would not abandon their ally until 36 months have passed. That is, unless you occupy every single one of their territories. So we do indeed occupy all of Dalmatia's territories, and they don't occupy any of our own. So this means we can do a separate peace with them, and this will give us 4 aggressive expansion. But we can do one better. What we can do is, as I mentioned, we have loads and loads of feudatories, some of which we've just brought in. And what we can do is we can go to the provincial capitals here and transfer occupation. So let's transfer this to Andros and this to Andros too. We're going to sue for peace again, and we're going to sue separately with Dalmatia. And now, when we make this peace, they will go to Andros. So let's do that. And look at our aggressive expansion here. It's 72.34. We're going to peace out just Dalmatia. And watch this. Our aggressive expansion hasn't gone up at all because the territory has gone to Andros in the peace deal. And guess what? We're also integrating Andros. Now, the time taken, it depends on their total population. And what have we done? So we have just fed them a bit more population. So we'll take, let's say, this Diuria, this nation, do the same thing, and maybe we'll feed this to Heraia. Now, Heraia will integrate in about 5 years from here, but once we feed them this land, it will extend that integration period, which means that we can basically keep integrating these subjects while feeding them more and more land without us taking any additional aggressive expansion. And we'll peace out bit by bit. This also kind of helps peace out because now there's one less war participant from this big defensive pact. So when we later go to some of these really horrendous sort of tribal defensive pacts, or up here in Northern Europe, here in Spain, this is a strategy you will use. And if you remember, I've integrated it now, but if you remember, I gave all of Sardinia here and some of Sicily to one of my Sicilian subjects. So that's just another little strategy, helps to deal with some of these. You can see some of these sort of Isaurian tribes here in the mountains. I have given them to Heraia, which is again a subject that I'm integrating right now. It's a little bit later, and now it's time to go for the Seleucid Empire. When I was doing this run, it actually took me 2 imperial challenge wars to take out the Seleucid Empire, and my first aim was just to kind of cut them off up to about this axis here in Syria, because otherwise there's a lot of surface area that they could use to kind of attack me and conquer back some of my territory, because of course the Imperial Challenge War goal cuts both ways. They can easily take back some of my terrain. So I'm just going to take them down to about here, and then after that leave them for a while. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have my main forces, a bunch of mercenaries here and legions and so on, operating here in this sort of area, using a fleet as well. So wherever the AI sends their main forces, I can either strike this way and cut them off from going south, or strike northwards and cut them off from going west. And I'm once again going to have a lot of sort of local little 2 stacks that you get from levying small regions to just take the territories, just conquer the territories very easily. So I'm going to raise them now. Now here's a little tip. You can press this button here, which makes it kind of go either sort of grayish brown or pink. Pink means it's a region where you can raise a levy, and you can click exactly where you want your levy to be raised. So I'm going to do here, and here, let's say, and I'm going to be using these very small stacks to just do all of this capturing. I do have two sort of mid-sized regions. They're reasonably strong. They're okay in a fight. They're not amazing, but they can just take a little fight if necessary, quite efficiently. Oh, talking of legions, I'll talk about this in a moment, but I'm going for mostly heavy infantry, heavy cavalry, and supply trains. So let's pop off our war now. Imperial challenge, let's go. Well, here we go. We've taken Jerusalem. Later on, we're going to have that event chain with the People's Front of Judea. Very funny. I can see that everyone loves Monty Python. We're going to have a big fight here. We're going to get all the stacks we possibly can. These mercs plus our legions, we're going to take this group out. We've just taken two very good fights there. Big stacks are mostly routing now, I believe. As you can see, I'm playing very rapidly on speed 5, just hitting space to unpause constantly. This is not in any way impressive. Oh, okay, we're going to need to send back. This is what I mean by they can sort of, and then they've got military access here with Armenia. Unfortunately, Armenia probably won't give us military access. But the AI gets it, so we're going to have to go back and fight their big stack back there. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. We're stack wiping them here quite efficiently. So as I mentioned, I pieced out with the Seleucids, taking a sort of frontier here in Syria, and getting rid of some of these hinterlands that are very porous that they can sneak in by having military access, even though we can't get it. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go for Armenia. And one of the important reasons for this is we're going to look at our military traditions. So what we've done here, the most important ones are in Greek kingdom traditions, we've gone down this way. Heavy cavalry morale, that's a very good one. Heavy cavalry offense, fantastic. And now we're going to want to embrace Greco-Persian influence, because that is going to give us access to the Persian traditions, which are extremely strong. To do that, we're going to need to have a Persian or sort of Middle Eastern culture integrated, and that's why we're going to go for Armenia. We're going to do, again, Imperial War Goal. They've taken some of these other regions, so it's going to be a bit of a mobile war as we push in this way from the west, but also start taking them out on the coast of the Black Sea. Actually, they have an ally in Albania here, which we're going to occupy and separate peace out as well. But the main thing is, as soon as we take our first clump of Armenian territory, or if we already have perhaps someone of Armenian culture, we'll start integrating them straight away. The smaller the culture, the faster you integrate. And indeed, in fact, I've already done it here. As you can see, I did have just 2 Armenian pops. It's much faster to integrate them. So I have integrated them, but I will need 500 Armenian pops total. Fortunately, they've been assimilating here, so we're going to have they are going to have, as you can see here, over 800. In fact, from both religions, there's going to be over 1,000 Armenian pops. They are considered to be part of the Persian military tradition groups. So as soon as we take 500 of them, we're going to take this embrace Greco-Persian influence tradition. That's going to open up the Persian traditions, and we're going to go again for the Persian rural traditions. We're going to get a heavy cavalry, all the heavy cavalry boosts, a fantastic 25 across the board here, and another 10 to their discipline, and another 5 disciplines of heavy cavalry, and 4 free innovations. So this is just going to be absolutely fantastic. Free innovations. Our heavy cavalry are just going to be incredibly tanky. So hence most of our legions, when we're forming our legions, we're going to have very heavily cavalry based. These are going to absolutely melt any enemies we encounter later. So it's going to be a very similar approach to what you saw before. I'm going to show you just the start here of declaring war on Armenia with the Imperial Challenge War Goal, and it's going to be a repeat of what we saw previously. Here is an event where a wonder has been completed and we get a 5 free stability, very strong here. It was a wonder, I believe, here. No, I've completed. I did complete a wonder in Latium. I've done honored slaves just for extra slave output and extra monthly civilization change in the country. These are really very kind of second or third tier effects. They're not a priority, but it's nice to have. We're going to be taking over a lot of this low civilization and these barbarian lands. They have low civilization, which means it's very bad for kind of all the civilized pops, non-tribesmen, and we want to civilize it and increase the civilization level there quite a bit. Here we've also integrated Haraya. Yeah, we'll take in their characters, why not? We'll probably need to do some restructuring here. A lot of trade routes get broken. I'm going to go in, and what I usually do is, apart from the our capital of Attica, I'm going to put everything on automate trade. So we'll look for any of the recently integrated regions like this one here, Diuria, and we're going to automate the trade there, assign governors, that sort of thing, and continue with our war with Armenia. So this is how things are looking after the Armenian War and another period of rest. I'm ready to take on the Seleucids again, and in terms of the traditions, I finally got my Persian traditions, and I'm working towards, as soon as I get 160 military experience, I'll be able to unlock the cavalry skirmish. In fact, I'll probably get the cataphracts now and keep going. So now it's time to go for the Seleucids, and we're going to go through and try and drive ever eastwards, and also probably occupy some of their many feudatories and client states and so on. And actually, I've left the Seleucids alive, just barely, a rump state here of just a few territories, and even gotten military access. And what I've done is I've gone for the Dahai, who are just about a major power, so I'm doing imperial conquest on them, and the Yuezhi. So what happens is that a bunch of these Yuezhi people migrate in. They don't actually start as a state, but if enough of them migrate in, the AI will kind of let them take over. And so as soon as I got to them, I declared war on them as well. We really, once we're up here in the sort of northeast of the map, we really want to conquer everyone before we come back. We don't want to be marching all the way across this land back and forth. We want to finish off everything up here. Later on, we're going to go for the Marias as well, and we're going to really take everything out to the east. And so then we've got everything east of basically Athens. While we're fighting here, these two imperial conquest wars, we're waiting for the Seleucid peace treaty, the truce to expire. We'll go to war with them and the remaining clients that they have. They've got just a few clients here. We've colonized this land here in the Horn of Africa, and we're also sieging down Mossalon and Mundia. While we're doing that, we're going to just finish, for the sake of it, colonizing all of the Horn of Africa as well. And so we're going to finish off these several these several little nations left here before probably the biggest fight that we have, which is going to be against the Marias. So just very briefly, in 618, here's how we stand. The Dahai have been conquered. We're going to just take out these last remnants of former Seleucid clients. One of them still is a client. We're going to take them out, and we're going to have a big rest, let our aggressive expansion tick down and our stability go up for a number of years, and get our armies and fleets into position, because Maria is going to be our next big target. And here we go. We are ready for the war with the Maria. We are going to have several main attack thrusts. We're going to have basically 3 phase lines that we're going to advance to. The first is going to be to the Indus here. We're going to cut the Marias off down to the Indus, because we'll be able to use our boats to maneuver up and down, and as soon as wherever the enemy stacks come in from, whether the south or the north, we'll be able to sort of parry them. We'll send our main forces ahead once again, establish this phase line and capture everything behind it, backfill it. We're going to be doing a lot of combat there. Once we do so, our next phase line is going to be here from sort of this gulf here, up all the way to the Himalayas. We're going to take out the Himalayas. Again, doing a lot of fighting. And then once we've reached this phase line, their armies should really be beaten and on retreat, and we're going to then proceed forward to the rest of the subcontinent. Now, another major objective here as we advance and backfill and capture this 700 or so territories here, one of the main objectives is to very early, as I kind of mentioned this before with Arabia, we want to get some territories bordering the Sumpa, this nation here, and Pandya, so that we can immediately begin fabricating claims on them and then declare war, even as perhaps we're still fighting the Mauryas, because as I mentioned, we don't want to be marching back and forth or even sailing back and forth. It takes a very long time. We want to finish the Indian subcontinent. We want to finish everything to the east here of basically of Athens. Just a couple of nations in the north here left, but if we can do this in a decade or so, or even 15-20 years, this will be a major boon, because after that we can just focus on the west solely. So we've got several assault teams ready to go. We've got our big fleet here. We're going to be landing. We're going to take some of these fortresses by storm. We're already ready here. Now, the other thing is we have got the invention for forced march. That's a very good one. We, of course, have cohorts for getting infinite legions, but also quick march here is very important, because then we can switch on forced march to get into position on top of some of these fortresses very quickly, and then switch off the forced march and order an assault straight away. They're actually in a civil war, so their fortresses are probably going to be fully staffed, but that's not such a big deal. So we're going to also raise our little stacks as well. Oops. Ready to help us to backfill. And if we're really cheeky and sneaky, we're going to, as we take some of these Indian regions, we're going to raise stacks there also. So as you can see, we've gotten on top of this fortress very quickly. We're going to switch off forced march and begin an assault. Now, technically speaking, there is an optimal sort of legion composition, or even you can split off parts of legions. If you've got a legate, you can send off part of a legion under a legate. So there is an optimal stack, which is usually something like a couple of supply trains and maybe a military engineer and a light infantry, something like that. There is an optimum meta for basically sieging, so that you have lots of food, so you can sit on there for a long time. You have military engineers, which gives you an improved sort of siege roll and that sort of thing. So I'm really not playing optimally here. I should have lots of these little stacks ready to hit the big fortresses, but you know, I'm just taking it easy and playing suboptimally. We're about to start hitting some of the main Indian stacks. This will be tough, but now that we have our all of our military traditions, they should begin to melt here. So we just melted 16,000 troops quite easily here, and we'll hopefully melt this 8k stack as well. There you go, complete stack wipe. Now we saw some stacks going up here, so we do have to sort of make sure we don't outrun our sort of main advance. This does feel a little bit like a blitzkrieg should in Hearts of Iron. we can get things like have gaps opening up between different pincers and that sort of thing. So it's really perhaps ahead of its time. Yeah, here we go. We've got enemies infiltrating in between our gaps, which we should close up. Hopefully, though, we can kind of cut them off at this line. We're melting stacks because, as I mentioned, we have these really strong heavy cavalry cataphracts, kind of ahead of the historical period. There you go. Really easy stack wipes here. These are mercenary, so they're not quite as good. I don't know how well they'll fight against this 10 stack. We've got, once again, we've got people infiltrating through our lines here. Don't be afraid to order a retreat if you need to, as I did there. So we're at the Indus River phase line here. We've taken a lot of good fights. Just looking at this, we've lost 100k army, they've lost 305, and we've got them basically on the run. So now it'll be just a mop up to our next phase line, which will be here, and then the final one. They have snuck through here, which is quite annoying. But we can sort of plug in this gap and begin driving through the Himalayas and take out the rest of the Mauryas. It's 642 and we finished our conquest of the Indian subcontinent. Our aggressive expansion is extremely high, so we're going to take a well-earned break. We're going to redeploy our troops over here to take on the Bosporan Kingdom next. They have more than 100 territories, so we can use the Imperial War Goal on them. We're going to colonize in some of this land here, and then tidy up some of these tribes. After that, we're going to go for Treveria, which is a tribe. It also has over 100 territories, so we can again do an Imperial conquest on them. And after that, our next goal is going to be the lands of Britannia, or Britannia as it's known in this time period. It's 658 and we've done so. We have cleaned up Treveria. We have cleaned up this eastern block of tribes, and we're next going to go for Britannia. Fortunately, one of their tribes in the south here has expanded north and has gained more than 100 territories, which is great because that means we're going to be able to do our Imperial Challenge War against them. Now, as soon as we get in here, this will be a very easy battle for us now with our many legions, but as soon as we get in here, what we're going to want to do is we're going to very aggressively first convert and then assimilate them so that we get enough Hellenic Athenian slaves to colonize the remaining uncolonized regions here in Britannia. We're going to aggressively build grand temples and great theaters to again boost our assimilation and conversion. This should be fairly straightforward. It's now 670 and we have taken and colonized Britannia. We've also fought our way north to the Baltic here so that we can begin fabricating claims on all of these tribes. Many of them have this, a part of a defensive pact, so we only need to fabricate on one of them. Don't be fooled. This up here is not Athens. This is a Viking tribe or a proto-Viking tribe that it has the same color as us, but we'll clean that up in a moment. No worries. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go for the Carthaginians. We're ready. We've got fleets and armies set up. We're going to first, of course, embark before declaring war, but we're going to first go for North Africa. We're going to cut them off roughly here, so we're going to land a strong force here. We're also going to land a strong force from the east and drive them into here and basically block them up and fight their main armies, use our small stacks to capture. So we're going to be attacking from multiple directions. That'll clean up the North African theater, and then we'll land in the Balearics and in Spain, take them out, and then begin dismantling these tribes here. We're not going to march back and forth. Once we're in Spain, we're going to take out the tribes. We are already sending claim fabrication, so we're ready beforehand, and we're just going to conquer this part of the world and then turn our attention to the north. And indeed, by 685, we finished our campaigns. We've cleaned up Africa. We've taken all the land apart from a few provinces here to be colonized, which would be straightforward to do. We will just end up moving slaves up from the south here and colonize them. But don't be fooled. There are still a couple of sovereign nations left of migratory tribes. What's happened is, if you remember that Viking tribe up here, is they had several migrating stacks left over, and I imposed a peace on them too early by mistake, meaning that they lost all their land. They don't have any territories now, but they do still exist as a migrating tribe. And so what I'm doing here on this tribe and then another one down here, what I've done is I've parked my troops on top of them so that they begin to take a very large amount of attrition. My troops don't. They're taking food from the local province. Of course, I can import some grain here just to make sure that our province stays healthy and well fed. But if I play this out, you will see that as time goes on, they will begin to take damage and take attrition damage. Now there is no way, unfortunately, there is no casus belli. Even if we had enough stability here, there is no casus belli here that will we can do without taking a stability penalty. So we can either let them sort of die out through attrition, or if we do have enough stability, we can declare war on them without a war goal, which means we will take a big stability hit, but we can do that here, and this will then stack wipe them, and that destroys them as a tag. So we just have this one left now, which we can repeat again when we have enough stability, or just let them decay down by attrition. So that's it. That was the World Conquest. Thank you for watching.